understanding about the value chain, market, supply chain, quality control, they are like the precondition.
Basically understanding markets, agricultural markets.
If you don't understand it, you are definitely going to be kind of a failure, right? And I heard, I see also there are organizations like ours, I mean, they were also struggling like us initially, and when I hear them, they have developed, some of them have developed very good understanding about the vegetable business, yeah, and they're doing very well. So it is a matter of time that this promoting institutions understanding, but one thing is very sure, if the promoting institutions are not capable enough, or they do not have the passion about doing this, I would say it is better not to do it, because once a producer company, you have started a producer company, it's a lifelong commitment. You just cannot leave it high and dry. If you have decided that you will promote producer company, you better prepare yourself that you have to do all of it. You do have to understand market, you do have to get into the supply chain, you do have to understand the technology penetration, everything. You just cannot say I am an NGO and therefore I won't get into that. That's a business. That thing you have to.
So who promotes also matters.
Who promotes also matters.
But I'm a little concerned that you're saying that's a lifelong commitment. Don't you think any promoter should have a withdrawal strategy?
Yes, they should have the withdrawal strategy. This is not a mutually inclusive kind of stuff. I am a promoter. I can also have a withdrawal strategy, but doesn't mean that I have to replace. I do have to replace my role in that place.
Yeah.
So that is a strategy that I developed.
But how long that takes?
It depends. Like I mean, if you have, as I say, that if you can create a federation of the FPOs, you can promote a kind of a, not promote, you can allow or encourage a for-profit to come up and support these FPOs for the business.
Then it can be sooner than later.
Yeah, it can be sooner than later. So I would, a little digression. When we were doing this CBBO structure, I mean, in the new scheme that government, I mean, is running, there was a term coined CBBO, cluster-based business organization. Yeah. Often, people, I mean, when we're analyzing this word, what does it exactly mean? I underline the word business, cluster-based business organization. So if I am a CBBO, I must not forget the role of my doing business.
Right.
And if I am forgetting that, a large part of my responsibility I am actually not realizing. I am just thinking that promotion in terms of mobilizations and bringing them together, but that won't make any.
It won't take you too far.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Unless I am doing that business part.
I agree with you.
Intelligently.
Very important. After all, farmers are into business of agriculture and farming.
So for that, it's a lifelong commitment that you are ready as an institution, that you are ready to take up that role, how to promote business. And if you are inclined to do that, then learning business is not a big thing. You can, because there are millions of people doing it in this country.
But one of the criticisms of civil society organizations promoting FPOs or farmer producer companies has been that they don't understand business and they also can't scale up. Therefore, government came up with the idea of CBBOs, saying let's have scale, let's have those who have some understanding of business and who can do it on a scale. So what do you think of this? This is a right move or?
I think it's the right move, because government said CBBO and did not say that only NGOs can be the CBBO, not for profit can be the CBBO. Government has allowed even the for profit to be CBBO.
No, but it has excluded smaller ones because they don't have that 1 crore, 2 crore turnover to be qualified.
Okay, that's a little operational issues. Maybe I think that can be looked at, that with the experience, that whether some good organizations are left out because of that clause. But as I said, as a concept, CBBO as a concept, I see that if it can add a huge value proposition, provided we understood the entire function of the CBBO. Be that if not-for-profit organizations, after a while, they think that they cannot get into that business part of it, but they have developed them so well. I'm sure there are for-profit organization as a CBBO, if they are also emerging, as a kind of a real business, so there is no harm for a not-for-profit to plug it with them.
Okay.
You can do it, right?
They can join hands.
Yes, they can join hands.
Okay.
That my
strength is this, yours is this, let's work together.
Exactly. That's how it should be, isn't it?
Right.
So both the parties have a role to play, and we just have to collaborate. And this is too early to conclude anything about it. I am saying this is an emerging model. I think we probably have to wait for another few years to see that in which direction it is going. I would also like to say one point here, that globally supply chain is changing. The age-old supply chain mechanism is actually seeing a change.
Yes.
The conventional supply chain probably has, it's kind of a
outlived its utility.
Outlived,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So alternative supply chain is the kind of a search by the businesses, A. B, carbon neutrality is driving many businesses to become sustainable and doing things right. Everyone would like to contribute their way.
The other thing I wanted to ask, which is I think very important issue, is that lot of farmer producer companies are being encouraged by their promoters to participate in futures markets. You think this is needed? This is okay, not too risky for them? Should they really put their fingers into it, or have you ever tried?
No, we haven't. We haven't tried that, and because we're still not very confident about whether we should get into that kind of a environment, because they do talk about that hedging of price, and there is a safety mechanisms, etc., but at the end of the day, there is a bit of a risk involved, as we have understood while analyzing them. And I think the producer company in their initial years, if they are very much into this brick and mortar kind, I would prefer that, a typical gaon ki seth, doing buying and selling. That's how you develop your skill, and then you get into those kind of ventures which are little sophisticated today.
When you have ability to take risk.
When you have gained enough where you can take such risk, right? Or you are doing under complete protection where there is no element of risk involved, then probably.
How can that happen? No element of risk?
That will never happen. That will never happen. That's correct, yeah.
The other part of the business model being sort of debated about producer companies becoming viable or not is that of whether they should focus on single commodity value chains or multiple commodities and products to get a scale, to get viability. How are your producer companies dealing with this?
Okay, so the way we have tried to address this issue, in any given cluster or your operation of the producer company, there will be definitely two crops. There are Kharif crop and Rabi crop, and for which you should be, and you should be also looking at, if you closely look at that cluster and study the cropping system, you will definitely find 2 or 3 major crops, 1 or 2 in Kharif and 1 or 2 in Rabi. Typically, if you see an area in the semi-arid, you will see that your Madhya Pradesh context, if I say that either I will find cotton or soybean as the main crop, or in some areas I might find also maize, right? Or if I go to the eastern part of Madhya Pradesh, I probably will find that rice in the Kharif. And then in the Rabi, you will find wheat mostly.
Or chana
wheat,
to some extent.
Or to some extent chana, but chana is always a very small quantity. In both seasons, you will also find a bit of a pulses. Now, addressing this issue of whether it's a multi-commodity or single commodity, now suppose if you develop your understanding on these key crops, so suppose if you are a cotton growing area, so you are developing your skill on cotton trading, aggregation and bulk selling, or if you are in maize growing area, developing your skill on that commodity, and then wheat or chana and in between a small quantity would be a pulses. So dealing with 2 to 3 crops, developing understanding for 2 to 3 crops, understanding their supply chain, and then their buyers and their buyer quality control, I think it's not difficult. So it is a multi-commodity, but yet in a limited number. You will not find a cropping system where farmers are growing 20 different crops. Even if they are growing 20 different crops, you will find that probably 15 of them are so negligible, it's not even worth trying.